Hello, how you doing? So I decided to do a video because working in the music industry, if you're not able to make a session, to attend a session or to are able to, if you're running late or anything, normally they use FaceTime, Skype, some of the newer technology for you to sit in on a session and stay in on what's going on. So I decided to do it this way and show you step by step of what I would do to create a whole session. Normally, a full session from start to finish, and starting from setting the atmosphere all the way until the actual finished product. Depending on your time limit, you can have 3 days, you can have multiple days. Sometimes you're only gonna have a day. So I'm just gonna do it in reference of one day. Real simple song, just to show you, just adjust, because it can get complicated sometimes depending on the genre that you're doing. So I'm just gonna go with a real simple setup layout here of my timeline. I chose to do a video versus doing the Mindmeester. I don't know if I said it right, or any of the other timelines, is because, like I stated before, if you can't make a session, then usually they do a phone call or they Skype you in, FaceTime, or anything of the such. That's what they normally do. Just from knowing and talking to a couple of people, they still do emails and they write things out, but in reference to when you're actually doing a session or getting instructions, they call Skype, FaceTime, just like I've stated. So, actually, from looking at my list from when I did before, I told you exactly what you need to have, which is the MIDI keyboard, the monitors, the headphones, MacBook, DAW system. I said candles, old school playlist, interface, a writer, and a mindset for staying up all night. Now, using this, I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna go in step by step exactly how my session should run. So excuse me for looking back and forth. I'm just writing down so I can remember what step that I'm on. So okay, so let's go here. So step one, to start in a section, you want to make sure the atmosphere is right. This shouldn't take you to no longer than about 15 to 20 minutes. Setting the atmosphere would be having your candles, as I said, even though people joke about it, but that's serious to me. Making sure I'll say it from my standpoint of in where I run my sessions at, which is in one of the bedrooms that I have here at my house. So make sure your vacuum, your floor is clean, just the whole vibe is setting right. Play music while you're cleaning up, while you're making sure that the candle has the right smell. Believe it or not, smells have a sense to attract certain creativity senses that are in your mind, and it gives you a certain vibe. You could have, I use vanilla is what I use. The vanilla really relaxes you and gets you calm and get things going. So that's the sense that I use. I would say, like I said, play music, making sure you have the right vibe and everything for this, for the certain artist that you're doing, and play the music that you're actually going to be creating. So if you're doing R&B, listen to some old school R&B. If you're doing pop, I would say listen to some 80s pop music, something of the sort. Step number two. I would say step number two would be to actually sit down and create a skeleton. Create a skeleton for what you need. Creating a skeleton to take you about another 15 to 20 minutes. Just maybe some piano, maybe breakbeat going if it's hip-hop, maybe just a nice kicking a snare if it's going, if you're doing like R&B, something just laying it out, and that should take you about about 15 to 20 minutes roughly that you should do. Step three, I would say bring in your writer. Bringing in your writer is to make sure that you are creating the process with the writer so that they can hear what's going on. I would say that while you're creating your skeleton, you bring in your writer, you have your skeletons, you say which layout you want to go with. They'll tell you, okay, let's go with this lane. When you say let's go, when they tell you that they want to go with that lane per se, that's perfect to them. Then you rock with that. Okay, so which will lead me into the next step, which is starting to create the music. Now, when you're doing this, you have to make sure that you let the music speak to you. When I say let the music speak to you, I mean actually, like, if you are a musician, even if you're not a musician, you know what feels good. Listen to what the writer is telling you, like, or what the melody that they're singing to you. Make sure that you have that down pat. Now, you need to make sure. Now, I would say, actually, that's in the next step. Yeah, continue with the melodies and make sure you have the right sounds put together. Now, step number 5 would be that you need to have that you need to make sure that you start with either the intro, the chorus, wherever the writer is going. Now, steps 3 through 5, 3 into the other steps I'm going to tell you about creating the music. This is all a part of the process. This whole process here, creating the actual music for the song, sometimes it can run you an hour, sometimes it can run you an hour or two. It just depends on the actual writer. So there's not a certain time limit that it should do, but make sure you have this done during that day that you have it. So you have a whole day for you to create this one song that they told you to do. And you can have multiple ideas up in a day. It shouldn't take you then a whole day, so you can move on to something else. But this is something that you can do. So step number 6 is what I'm going to tell you. Step number 6 is after you have all the music and everything put together and you have the actual song structure. So you get with the writer once again. You and the writer working together to have an intro, a verse, a chorus, a pre-chorus, whatever it is that you want to do, so that you have that stuff together. This duration right here shouldn't take you no longer than about 10 minutes right here. After you have that, then the writer can go in to record the process. So the writer can go in to record whatever it is that he or she has written. Excuse me. I guess the little bug wants to record or get up in the video. But the writer can actually record and set up the way that how they have the song actually written while you were working. This should take setting up the recording process for this. Everything from 2 to all the way to the song is finished. This is all one time limit that should be happening, which is about 2 to 3 hours. This should take you. It depending on how fast you work, depending on how the writer works. So every step that I'm saying now and the process of creating it, it's essential because it's all one big thing. So I can say take the 10 to 15, 20 minutes, but this process will maybe take you about 2 to 3 hours for you to have everything down pat. So step number 8, after the writer records it, you listen back and make sure everything is flowing well. And it's like, okay, cool. We have everything that we need. The music is ready. The song is written already. Everything's ready to go. We recorded it. Okay, now step 9 is what we need to do is find the perfect artist. Once you find the perfect artist, they come in. Now this part here, finding the artist, it's not gonna take. It's you say you shouldn't take that long, but sometimes with the labels and everything out, they'll dish it out and they'll try to figure out what artist you should go to. So this step right here is actually like another part that's not even in like the recording, the production process. So this is where we would just throw ideas out there and say, okay, what artist can this go to? And this is everything. And, you know, have everything set up for that artist so you can send the emails out. So this process can take maybe about 10 minutes, you know, just to figure it out. You collectively come together to do that. Step 10 would actually be that before you leave the room, this is a lesson I learned from Byron Michael Cox. Before you leave the room, when you have your finished song, is that you make sure that you have all the people who did what, the chorus, the intro. If it's more than one producer in there, you make sure that you have the producer's name down, what part they did, and you have the split sheet is the professional name for it. Is a split sheet. Make sure that you have that split sheet ready to go. Because he had an instance before where I got this idea from him where he did a song, the song went Billboard, and a lady was claiming like 30% of the song when she only had one line in there. And they gave her 5%. So you don't want this to happen to you. This is a very, very, very valuable lesson that you need to make sure that you don't want to happen to you. This process here, the split sheet and everything, should take you about 5 to 10 minutes. People normally, you know what you did in the song. You know, everybody's there, everybody's fresh, and you have that. Make sure you have that ready. Step 11. After you have the split sheet, make sure that you have everything copyrighted. So everything, you have to take care of all the business there. You make sure you have the publishing, whoever you publish it. Like me, I have BMI. Some people have ASCAP. Some people, well, that's people who actually help you get your money. Publishing is a whole separate thing. If you have your own publishing company, like me, I have Deluxe Publishing Incorporated, which is something I'm working on now. Other people have different publishing corporations. You make sure all the paperwork is right there and ready to go. And step 12, I would say when you have all the paperwork and the copyright ready to go, this goes back to step number 8, I believe it was. I'm not sure which number it was, but this goes back to finding the artist. You make sure that you have the contract ready to go. and you look at the contract, have your lawyer look at the contract, your manager, whatever it is, when you're sending this stuff out. Because if you don't read the contract, sometimes you can get beat out your money. Sometimes you won't have the money that you actually need. You might even be given to, if you want to be honest, you might be giving too much to somebody else, credit that somebody else should have that was working on the record. You want to make sure all this is perfectly right. So the last and the final step is very important. Number 13 is keep the relationship with the people. After you're done, if you had any arguing, sometimes arguing, apologize, shake hands, keep that relationship. From step 1 until 13, this is a whole day process. Now, I didn't mention food or taking a break in this process because sometimes you don't have the luxury of taking that, real quick break depending on the deadline. But if you do, you can take a break after you finish making the music and the writer has the lyrics and the writer has the lyrics going down already, and even though they didn't record, you can take a break then. Where you can take a little food break, go get something to eat real quick. But sometimes they might even have fruit or, whatever their preference is, liquor or juice or whatever it is. They might have all that in the studio ready for you, so I didn't mention it just because of that. But if you do take a break, I would say don't take no more than maybe an hour to take a break, because you don't want to lose the vibe that you have going, because then you have to come back in. You have to recreate the vibe that you need to do again, and that's a whole other process. But because sometimes if you leave the vibe alone and you come back to it, sometimes it doesn't work. You're not in emotion no more. My motto is once you start the song, just finish it all the way through. Okay? So, like I said, the last and final step was let's recap. So you want to make sure the vibe is right. You have the production of the song right. Take your time with it. This is just a summary of what the steps should be. And most importantly, have fun. You must have fun creating music. If the music is not fun and you're not creating timeless music, this instructional video, this timeline video, this won't work for you. You have to make sure you are having fun during this session. You have to, and work with people that you love working with. All right? So, like I said, this is different. The reason why I did this video is because when you're not in a session and you're missing a session, this is what they do. They FaceTime, Skype. At least that's everyone that I've talked to and how I've experienced sessions. This is what they did to me, either on the phone or Skype. Because normally when you're texting and emailing, it can get real confusing because nobody knows what you're talking about. So this is elaboration of what I think, and not even just me, what I've talked to industry people. This is what they do. Because when you're texting, like I got a text, the prime example, I got a text the other day. I didn't understand what the guy was talking about. I had to call him on the phone. And after that, after he was saying like, okay, I need to hear it even more, I had to FaceTime him. So this is what gave me the idea to do this. So what's going to happen now is I want you guys to take this video and use it very well to the best of your ability. I hope this was a great instructional timeline video for you guys. And hopefully you understand every word. Excuse my tooth impediment here. It's not really a tooth impediment. I just, I'm a fun guy. I like to have fun. So take this video, take these steps. These steps are very, very easy for you. They're not complicated at all. Have fun, and God bless.